Okay, so once again, we do get to see our beautiful remote duel playmats. We provided all of the competitors for this weekend, so...
Yeah, that's pretty nice having these kind of tournaments. Let's remind you guys that if you want to play with your friends, you can set up something similar so that you can play at home. And we're really proud and really happy to be here to doing commentary for you guys.
Yeah, thank you again for watching, and I'm sure we're gonna put up just as much and obviously even more of a good show later on today. Do you think the die roll is that impactful? Like, we saw Jonas actually picking second yesterday.
Yeah, I mean the dinosaur deck can afford to go second, so it's not a big deal. But on the other hand, I think Matteo wants to go first because his deck it's like I mean he can play through a lot of good cards, but on the other hand, if Jonas knows that his opponent, I mean at this point you know that your opponent is playing Dragon Link at 60 card. By activating Mystic Mind, maybe you could seal the game as fast as you can.
Yeah, and Jonas is the winner, but just by how he's putting his hand face down, he might pick second. Yeah, so Jonas wins the die roll, but let Matteo start. Very brave move, makes sense by the nature of his deck, but let's see if it will pay off. Matteo, for now, hasn't lost a single game, so let's see which is the opening normal summon for him.
Yeah, as we saw yesterday, Jonas, this is the second time he decides to go second. And I think it's a reasonable choice because your deck doesn't have any problems going second also because of Tyranno, which is a very good card. And on the other hand here, Matteo just trying to making the standard combo we have seen a lot of times so far this weekend.
Yeah, Seifert is the one. So he probably has either the field spell or already one of the Wyvern Buster you usually go and search for with the Seifert. I would say the Tracer is not the most straightforward one. Let's see how he continues this. But there is no draw and lock for Jonas, we can tell you that much. So Dragon Shrine comes down. It is gonna send the Supreme King Pendulum Monster, most likely, which you can just summon back if you control no monsters.
And now let's see why Matteo, I mean, he has a lot of surprises in his deck. He is the only one playing this kind of card, and I really like the idea of the deck behind because he actually has more extenders, and so he can rely on multiple factors.
Yeah, the thing is, outside of being able to play a lot of entrops, when you play 60 cards, you can play these engines where you have only one bad card to draw and multiple good ones, because the chance of opening the single copy of the bad one, just like Psyframe Driver, for example, is much less likely. Romulus comes down. Is it gonna resolve? Seems like Jonas just either is bluffing or not even taking a look at his hand, you know, and this is sending a strong signal to Matteo.
Yeah, he drew the Collapse Serpent, which is very good for him, because this means that Matteo actually has access to the Wyvern Buster, and then maybe Jonas has any, I don't know, maybe he's bluffing like...
yeah, I mean, Nibiru can still be there, so... but if Jonas was watching our stream, we said that the biggest difference in Matteo's deck is the extra deck, and especially the Apollousa. Apollousa is one of the ways in which Matteo was handling all of his games yesterday, summoning it as soon as possible to play around Nibiru. So
let's see if Jonas has any response to Matteo's combo here, because it's very looking good at this point, because with Link Cross you have access to your Metal Marcher, and later on you can bring the Herald of the Dark Light. And if Jonas doesn't have any response, I think Matteo will be able to put up a huge field.
Yeah, still Jonas has multiple ways, and that's just how the dinosaur deck is built. Not only is it able to go for entrops and stop your opponent and try to OTK, but with Tyranno and Mystic Mine, even if you don't open an entrop, there is a chance that you can come back on the board.
So it looks like we are seeing the old dinosaur being played by Jonas, in which, I mean, years ago you didn't play that many entrops, so He's just looking at Matteo's comboing this point with LP, and I think sooner or later we will see Apollousa, especially summoned by Matteo.
Yeah, it isn't that important right now, just because he went for the Herald. Now taking a look at his deck with the LP, do you think he's gonna go for Brotor right away? Yeah.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah.
No surprise. Can search for Levian here potentially. A lot of different options here. It's already quite complicated to use such a deck when you're playing 40, but playing 60 cards, you have so many different plays and lines you can take.
Yeah, this shows us how Matteo really improved his deck with like the last time we've seen him on Livestream, and I really like the fact that he built his own deck from scratch by playing different cards, and I think we will soon see the Levianir as well, because now Jonas doesn't have any interruption. So maybe we will see the Savage Dragon combo that he has never made on stream yesterday.
Yeah, do you think it's worth going for the extra deck Union Carrier combo against Dinosaur? Or not that much?
Well, I mean, at this point, I think Matteo doesn't really want to go for that combo because he knows his opponent is playing Dinosaur. And you don't really need to lock your opponent into your extra deck because he knows Tyranno is going to be a problem. And here comes the SHUEISHA. There's the second time we are seeing this card being played by one of our players. And Matteo is going to draw 4 fresh cards and then he will decide which cards he wants to send back to the deck. At the moment, I think that things are really looking good for Matteo. He's a very experienced player with this deck, he knows what he's doing, and SHUEISHA just adjusts your hand so that you have multiple choices, and
yeah, as you said, we saw it already with Schattenspieler, and it's the second time in which we get to see it today. Maybe it is gonna be the card that brings all of these players to the top 4. If we have two in such a difficult field, both making it to the top 4 with Saruya, I think for everyone watching, it is a card that you should include in your deck, or at least try to include in your deck.
Yeah, because it actually gives you access to more resources easily, and on the other hand, even faster. So if you really want to see your extenders as soon as possible, you have to consider playing SHUEISHA.
Yeah, and it's obviously extremely good because it's a Dragon Link, which means that compared to Apollousa, they both have different merits, but just like Matteo did here, you can use it with the guard dragons as well. Very interesting option.
And now Matteo is just continuing with the Striker Dragon essentially for the launch, and this is the peculiarity about this deck. Now he can just destroy Striker Dragon to bring back his Rocket from the graveyard.
Yeah, again, one of the ways you can tell Matteo has been playing this deck a lot. Usually, you even rarely see players activating the second effect from the Striker. But since he got the field spell, this is just what he wants to do. Because later on in the turn, he can just use a field spell and special summon the Tracer back from the end. So very well played right here by Matteo.
Yeah, as you said before, I don't think he will ever go for the extra deck lock because he knows his opponent is playing Dinosaur. So, I mean, at this point he has the Herald, so I think he can put up at least other 2 interruptions on the field. Because he still has indeed the Tracer.
Yeah, as expected, this is pretty much the straightforward line. He's gonna try and go for the Union Carrier combo later on if possible, but this is already looking good. He got rid of a card from Jonas, he has Herald, Hieratic Spheres, and potentially Savage. So, looking absolutely incredible at the moment.
It will now bring the Recharger, I suppose, thanks to you will special summon the Savage Dragon. And at this point, yeah, I think he will also special summon the Levianir as well.
Let's take a look at his decision. The second Levianeer is probably something you want to keep for next turn. Unless you link summon with it, you cannot use the effect again. So it might just be something cool that you keep in the graveyard alongside the Brotor in the unlikely circumstance that your opponent breaks your board.
I mean, quite an impressive field from Matteo. He has 3 interruptions, which is very good.
And now it's gonna be up to Jonas. We do know that Mystic Mine is in the deck, but right now Matteo has 2 ways to actually negate the card. And here is the first terraforming. No way he's gonna negate it. Yeah. Do you think he's gonna go for the Mystic Mine right away here, or how would you approach this situation?
This is not going to be easy, because if he has the Mystic... Okay, now Matteo knows that Jonas has the Mystic Mine. So basically what he needs to do... Okay, so very interesting. Jonas decided to play it as the first card.
Yeah.
Which means that probably he has another copy, because Matteo can now negate another card with the Savage Dragon. And if he does, Jonas could have another Mystic Mine in his hand, which could cause a lot of trouble.
Ooh, so Mystic Mine comes down. Are we gonna see an impermanence as well? Or does he have 3 copies? No way. We talked about how Mystic Mine was gonna be impactful, but we already see 2 copies getting negated. At the same time, this means that Jonas might just give priority to the dinosaur combos. If he feels like... Ooh, and he does have the 3rd copy available. This is unbelievable. Oh my. I wouldn't be able to believe this if I wasn't watching it. Like, Matteo knew that Mystic Mine was the problem, but there is no way you expect 3 copies to be available for your opponent. What can we say? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, nothing that Matteo can do. He played this card really well, but yeah, I mean, this is probably the worst nightmare he's
now he might be forced to actually use the Erratic Sphere on his own Savage. That way, the Mystic Mine is gonna be destroyed in the end phase. I think that's the only possible play, but it's so much advantage lost. So I'm not even sure if he can win the game if he does something like that.
Yeah.
But I think that's the only play.
Yeah, because on Matteo's side, the game could be compromised anyway if he activates the Erratic Seal on the Savage, because he already used a lot of his own resources on the extra deck. But if you don't do it, I mean, you are just blocked. So,
as expected, well played by Matteo. He's gonna chain the Erratic Spheres. Oh, but he's gonna use it on the Mystic Mine. That's interesting. Does he have a way to fight back once the Mystic Mine comes down? I was thinking, just like Schattenspieler was doing. Okay, he just summoned the Black Metal. I'm slightly confused. There is obviously multiple lines that he can take. Schattenspieler, for example, in round 1 yesterday, used the Erratic Sphere on his own, and I think that was a really interesting play. But since the set rotation doesn't allow you to activate another field spell, this is actually very well catched by Matteo.
Yeah.
I will try to show you guys the card in a few moments, but if it was just a regular copy of Mystic Mine, then this would not have been a possibility, which as well might come back to earth Jonas. Because if this is the case, then he should have possibly started with set rotation and then changed it to the regular copy of Mystic Mine, but this is still far from over. He, even outside of free Mystic Mine, has the Fossil Dig.
Yeah, this is amazing because he had the Oviraptor, and then with the Fossil Dig he searched for the Miscellaneous, and right now he actually has access to all of his resources, so he can free to do whatever he wants.
Okay, he adds the Baby, which might mean he does have the Miscelano already. Wow.
Yeah, he searched it out of Fossil Dig.
So he has everything here. He's gonna be able to... Ooh, but Ash Blossom stops it in his roots. Okay, we were already counting Matteo out. If he didn't have this Ash Blossom, I think this game would have been over on the spot, but the card comes down, and I think Jonas is the one to pick them up. Nice, absolutely incredible game. a lot of emotions, a lot of things happening. Matteo still undefeated in this tournament, even though his opponent opened 3 Mystic Mines. Oh
yeah,
man,
this was incredible. Like for a moment we thought that Jonas had game because Matteo used both of his interruptions, the Herald and the Savage. But after that, I mean, this was quite impressive.
yeah. Not only did he open 3 Mystic Mines, he had the Miscelano as well as the Oviraptor to just try and combo off, but 1 Ash Blossom was enough. Which also makes you think, did Matteo risk it at all by not using Ash Blossom on terraforming at the very start of the turn?
I think he had a plan because otherwise he would have used the Hieratic Seal on the Savage as we maybe thought at the beginning.
It's close.
It's close because I mean, as you said, maybe he would have used it on the set rotation.
It's a lot of decision making. Not quite on the set, but on the terraforming, he could have dropped the Ash, but it's also a decision from Jonas, for example, to use the set rotation, knowing that the Hieratic Seal can be used. So it was, I think, more of a game of chess than a game of Yu-Gi-Oh! But Matteo, for now, coming in strong and just 1 game away from his top 4 spot. Let's take a look at the side decks now. What do you think Jonas is gonna do?
As we saw yesterday, Jonas is prepared for this matchup. So he has quite a few different options for his side deck. For example, if he decides to go first, he can side in the Metaverse, which is really good if he wants to bring other copies of Mystic Mine. But I think he will decide to pick second, as he did for game 1. And he can set in cards such as Lancia, which is very good. And he has other end traps such as Ash Blossom.
Yeah, even the Lightning Storm might come down just as a Raigeki kind of effect. At the same time, though, he won the die roll and he picked second and it didn't work. So he needs to change something, either strictly in the main deck or just in the decision. Maybe Matteo's deck is just way stronger than the Dragon Link usual deck. And that could totally be the option. And I'm worried about Jonas, even by looking at Matteo's side deck. He just saw Mystic Mine, so we can safely assume that Cosmic Cyclone is gonna come in.
Yeah, just in case, because otherwise you really need to be careful about this. I mean, I think he's prepared enough for the matchup. He knows that Jonas maybe will pick second, also because of game 1. But once again, yesterday we have seen a lot of mind games being made by the players. So maybe Matteo knows that he will go first in this part. I mean, the dinosaur deck is prepared enough for going second. Jonas has a lot of end traps.
Yeah, so it's once again gonna be more on Jonas than on Matteo's end. If he's gonna let him start once again, not sure if he can rely on Mystic Mines as we saw. But it is still a 60-card deck, so the advantage of seeing cards from the side deck is definitely on Jonas more than it is on Matteo. No matter what, they're gonna put up a good fight. We are almost down to the last 20 minutes of the match, and we need to crown one of these guys and let them advance to the top 4.
Imagine if Matteo draws the exchange. We were talking about this card a lot yesterday. It will be a really cool card that we will show you guys in a second. It's a card that was used a lot in the past, especially during the spellbook format back in 2013. And it would be really cool if Matteo will be able to use it.
Yeah, the way I see it, it could be that he wants to just combo off, and once he's done and he has only like 1 unnecessary combo piece in his hand, he can steal a Mystic Mine, for example, from Jonas and really shut down any chance of victory from his opponent.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a really good addition for the deck. I mean, as game 1, Jonas didn't have any end traps, so I think that if he decided to pick second, he introduced some new end traps to the deck. See what Jonas decides to do.
Yeah, this is the crucial decision of the match. Is Jonas gonna try to go second one more time, although it didn't work? Let's see.
Just handling the cards differently than game 1 indeed.
So, exactly, so he changes his mind Again, not too sure if it is based on the deck from Matteo. So we can safely assume that Jonas prepared against Dragon Link, but Matteo's deck, as you can see even here, Drone-Lock Bird, coming and shutting down the Fossil Dig. Wow.
This might hurt a lot, because if Jonas, for example, doesn't have any other cards to use, Matteo could be free to do whatever he wants. So the Drone-Lock Bird here might hurt Jonas' strategy a lot. We have been talking about this a lot. Although Matteo plays 60 cards, he decided to maximize his end traps by playing multiple and different kind of end traps.
Yeah, and also kudos to Matteo. He might have sided those out if he thought that Jonas was going to let him start. Maybe Matteo read through the lines and he just understood that Jonas was going to change something up, and he kept the Drone Locks. And yeah, he completely shuts down Jonas' turn, and unless the face down is Metaverse, for example, it might be in trouble here.
Yeah, because as we saw yesterday, one impermanence should not be enough usually for the Dragon League combo to stop it. And the only card, on top of my mind, I'm only thinking about Metaverse at this point.
Yeah, it does side some copies of Rivalry of the Warlords, but against this deck, you have a lot of Dragon monsters, so Rivalry is not the greatest. It can be used efficiently, but if your opponent is playing around it, there are also some possible routes, especially when you don't have anything else on the field. So
once again here, Mind Games could be very useful for Jonas if he doesn't have any interruptions, because like the set card could be, for example, a bluff. But rather than that, as we said before, if it's not an impermanence, maybe Jonas has the Metaverse. But if it's not, Jonas might be in trouble. Is this a Foolish Burial, maybe?
Could be very dark, so we'll find out in a moment. But yeah, it seems like it's a Foolish Burial, so he sends the Router, and he should be get the Tracer, probably.
Yeah, indeed. He gets the Tracer, and sooner or later Matteo will find out if Jonas has any interruptions, so that, if he has the Metaverse, Matteo could be in trouble, but as you said before, he had the Cosmic Cycle in his side deck. Yeah,
and for how well he's drawing, even the Wyvern Buster hits the field. He's gonna go and test for some Entrops. We have seen Matteo play around Drone Lock in the past, but I don't think he needs to do it anymore. He already resolved the Router, so he can safely activate both the Striker and the Wyvern Buster. And here is the problem. Although Jonas can try to fight back, the advantage is starting to get out of hand.
Yeah, things are going to be very complicated for Jonas, because we understood that Jonas doesn't have Drone Lock, right? Because at this point he would have activated. He still doesn't have the fifth summon, so Nibiru is still useless.
But I don't think the Metaverse can be there anymore. He definitely would have used it as soon as Wyvern Buster hit the field, since he would have prevented so much advantage coming Matteo's way. And now the Romulus and the Collapse Serpent cannot protect it. So is Jonas gonna change something to the Romulus? No. So still just trying his best to close this game. As we know, he's playing a lot of Link 4s. He has Saruya, Appaloosa, and the Borrowsword. So just like in the past, we might see just a Borrowsword turn. And I think if I was in his spot, I would try my best to just go for the Borrowsword.
Yeah, by knowing Matteo, I assume that maybe this party will try to go for the OTK. Because, as you said before, maybe if Jonas had the Metaverse, he would have activated it before. So, at this point, I expect either an impermanence or a bluff, right?
Yeah, it should be along those lines. Cold by the Grave also had some chances to come down, so we could totally be a bluff. I don't even think, compared to Matteo, who is siding Forbidden Droplet, for example, that's not an option for Jonas. What do you think he should try to play around? The Nibiru, I guess, as the only...
he's the only one, because, he understood that his opponent doesn't have Drone Lock, doesn't have Ash, maybe has an impermanence, because maybe Jonas just wants to keep it, and I don't know, the only hand trap I'm thinking at the moment is Nibiru. So, but
Ooh.
yeah, now here comes the Legionnaire, which is gonna be huge, and we will understand with this Legionnaire if Jonas has any response.
Okay, it was the rivalry as we predicted on the screen, and that has now left the board. And just like we said, unfortunately, rivalry is not great against this deck. Now, Borosworth is potentially gonna come down, but I think he chose for Apollousa. Yeah.
Once again, Matteo proving that he wants to be safe. He wants to keep all of his cards. He doesn't want to have any problems, so he just wants to make his combo. And if Nibiru comes down, he has the Apollousa just in case. So
no, I totally agree with him. You don't have to get too excited in this scenario. It's obviously the dream. You open the draw and lock bird, your opponent activated Fossil Dig and just pass with one back row. You clear the back row. Now the only way you can lose the game is the Nibiru. So he doesn't summon the Borosworld right away because he knows he can get to the Borosworld later. So he just goes for the Apollousa. Once again, potentially the key card for his success and for granting him a ticket to the top 4.
Very well played by Matteo. I mean, we said it also yesterday. He's a very experienced player. He knows what he does. And I mean, what can he do, Jonas? Now, I mean.
Yeah, it's tough. As we said, you cannot activate the Nibiru anymore. You would need something like Shutten did with the Nibiru and Vader, or like Nibiru Impermanence, but I'm pretty sure Impermanence would have been set, so not quite likely to be in the end. And it doesn't even need to go for Borosworth anymore. He could just try and attack with his monsters. So.
And I think it will be enough anyway, even having Apollousa. So you didn't really need it for OTNKing his opponent, because now he has the Tracer and he will be able to bring a Recharger from his deck.
Yeah, differently from game 1, it seems like this one is going quickly to Matteo. Wasn't really one-sided battle, and he might be the only player in the tournament who is going to have a 4-0 record right now. Let's just wait a few more moments. He can go for the Savage potentially, just pushing more and more damage. Yeah, that's his choice.
I think he will now just consider how much he can put on board so that is enough to seal the game.
Just wanna, again, not mess up or forget any detail. At this point, the game is pretty much locked in for him. So we might have the third and almost final duel of the day for the top 8. Is it gonna be Matteo advancing and Italy still representing as potentially the last non-content creator in contention?
Yeah, Matteo once again is showing us how powerful his deck is. Right now, he just wants to be sure that everything is fine.
Luckily from us, the judges caught that since he used the Tracer now, he's locked under Dark Monsters. But this should be already enough for game. So he enters the battle phase, attacks with Apollousa, attacks with the rest of his monsters, and if Jonas doesn't have a surprise, I think he picks up his cards, and this is it. So Matteo takes it 2-0 very convincingly. He is once again advancing to the top 4, where we will soon find out who his opponent will be. But for now, let's go back to us for the post-match discussion.